The first thing they told me in the hospital was that I was lucky to be alive. Lucky. As if shattered bones, purple bruises, and a heart splintered into 1,000 pieces were some kind of blessing. I wanted to laugh or scream or maybe both, because nothing about waking up in a sterile white room with no one holding my hand felt lucky at all. But then she walked in. Her name was Emily Carter, my yoga teacher from a small studio in Brooklyn. She wasn't supposed to be there, not family, not even a friend, just someone who had once corrected my posture during a downward dog. Yet the second she leaned down, brushed the hair away from my sweaty forehead, and whispered, "You're going to be okay," I realized she was the only person I wanted to see. The accident had left me broken in more ways than I admitted. My car had been a twisted mess on the I-95, and so was I. My parents lived states away and couldn't come immediately. Friends sent flowers, texts filled with emojis and empty promises of visits. But Emily came every single day. First, I told myself it was pity. Maybe she felt obligated. Yoga teachers were supposed to radiate compassion, weren't they? Yet compassion doesn't usually look like bringing you homemade soup in mason jars, or reading your favorite poetry out loud while you fight through painkillers and tears. Compassion doesn't usually mean holding your trembling hands when nightmares claw at you in the middle of the night. One evening, when the rain drummed against the hospital windows and the smell of disinfectant made me nauseous, I broke down. My body ached, but my soul ached worse. "I don't know if I can do this," I whispered, barely audible. Emily's eyes locked onto mine. They weren't the polished calm of a teacher anymore. They burned with something deeper. "You can," she said firmly, her fingers brushing against mine, lingering longer than they should have. "And you won't do it alone." Something shifted that night. I didn't dare call it love, not yet. Love was supposed to be simple, wasn't it? But this was complicated. I was broken, she was whole. I was a student, she was a teacher. And yet, when her hand stayed resting on mine, warm and steady, it felt like the first safe place I'd known in years. Recovery was brutal. Physical therapy sessions left me drenched in sweat, cursing under my breath. There were moments I wanted to quit, moments when I hated my reflection in the mirror, the scar on my shoulder, the stiffness in my legs, the girl who looked more like a survivor than a woman worth loving. Emily never let me drown in that darkness. She invited me back to the yoga studio when I could finally walk again. "Just to breathe," she said, smiling in that way that made me feel like maybe breathing was enough. The studio smelled of lavender and cedar. Sunlight spilled across the wooden floor, painting everything golden. I spread my mat with shaky hands, nervous and self-conscious. Would the others stare at me, the broken girl patched together with scars? But Emily's presence was a shield. She adjusted me gently, guiding my arm, her touch so careful it felt sacred. When class ended, the others left, and it was just us, sitting cross-legged in the fading light. My chest tightened with words I didn't know how to say. She looked at me then, really looked, and whispered, "You're stronger than you think." Her hand brushed against mine, not by accident this time. The silence between us grew heavy, charged. My heart pounded like it had when the car spun out of control, except this time it wasn't fear. It was longing. And that terrified me more than any accident ever could. I wish I could say that after that night, everything fell perfectly into place. That's what happens in movies, isn't it? The broken girl finds someone who sees beyond the scars, the music swells, and they kiss under a golden sunset. But life doesn't hand you easy endings. Life tests you until you bleed. Emily and I started spending more time together outside the studio. Coffee runs turned into long walks through Prospect Park, where the autumn leaves set the world on fire. We laughed about silly things, the way she tripped over her own shoelaces, the way I once burned pasta. But underneath it all was this electric current, this unspoken thing pressing against both of us. And then one night it cracked open. We were sitting on her couch, a movie playing in the background that neither of us was watching. My leg brushed against hers and I didn't move away. She turned to look at me, her breath shallow, her lips parting as if to say something. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Then she kissed me. It wasn't a movie kiss. It was soft, hesitant, the kind that asked permission even as it stole your breath away. My body trembled, not from pain this time, but from the realization that I wanted this more than I'd ever admitted to myself. When she pulled back, her eyes searched mine with fear. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I shook my head, my voice breaking. "Don't be. We sat there in silence, both of us terrified by what we had just unleashed. It should have been beautiful, but instead it was complicated. She was my teacher. I was still healing, still fragile. And yet, every time we were apart, I ached for her. The world, of course, didn't make it easier. Whispers in the studio started when people noticed how often Emily adjusted me, how her eyes lingered on me a little longer than others. A friend confronted me once, half joking, half judging. "So, are you dating your yoga teacher now?" I laughed it off, but inside shame and doubt clawed at me. Was I ruining her career? Was I just some broken charity case she felt too guilty to walk away from? One night, when the weight of it all felt unbearable, I told her maybe we should stop. The words nearly killed me, but they came out anyway. Her face crumpled. "Is that what you really want?" I wanted to scream no. I wanted to beg her to never let me go. But fear wrapped around my throat like a vice. "I don't want to hurt you," I said instead. Emily stared at me for a long moment. Then she reached for my scarred arm, tracing it gently with her fingertips. "You could never hurt me," she whispered. "But pushing me away will destroy us both." Tears blurred my vision. I broke down in her arms that night, and for the first time I let myself believe I deserved this, deserved her. From then on we stopped hiding. It wasn't easy. Some students left the studio, unable to reconcile the image of their calm, perfect yoga teacher with the reality of her holding my hand in public. There were awkward glances, judgmental stares, but Emily never flinched. "They'll get over it," she said, her voice steady. "Or they won't. But I'm not losing you." The strength in her words gave me strength too. Slowly, the fear ebbed away, replaced by something solid, something real. Months passed, and my body healed more than I ever thought it could. I could run again, laugh without pain, even attempt the poses I once thought impossible. But what healed me the most wasn't the therapy or the yoga. It was love, messy, terrifying, breathtaking love. One evening, back in that same studio where it all began, Emily dimmed the lights after class. The others left and it was just us again. She walked toward me, her eyes shimmering in the golden glow. "Do you remember the first thing I told you in the hospital?" she asked softly. I nodded. "You said I was going to be okay." She smiled, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I believed it without doubt. Emily leaned in, her forehead resting against mine. "You are more than okay. You're extraordinary." And when we kissed, really kissed, there was no hesitation, no fear. Just two women who had been broken in different ways, finding wholeness in each other. I once thought the accident had taken everything from me, my strength, my beauty, my future. But it gave me something I never expected. It gave me her. And for the first time since the world came crashing down, I finally felt lucky. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.